3 and what? అమ్మాయి ఫోటో చూపించాను. అమ్మాయి ఫోటో అది బాగుంది అనిపిస్తుంది అనిపించింది, కానీ మీ ఫోటో అన్నప్పుడు డౌట్ వచ్చింది. అంటే పైన ఫోటో పెట్టాలనుకుంటారా మీరు? ఇక్కడ ఫోటో పెట్టాలి ఇక్కడ ఫోటో పెట్టి ఆ డీటెయిల్స్ అన్ని పెట్టాలి. డౌన్లోడ్ చేస్తాను. నేను చూస్తున్నాను.
Hello. Hello. Am I visible to all of you?
కింద నుంచి పై వరకు ఇది దేని
Am I visible to all of you? Okay.
ఇది కూడా బాగానే
Hi, good afternoon.
డౌన్లోడింగ్.
My name is Aeronautical. Now in this day 2 session 2, I am going to cover you in the professional development program on web application development using Bootstrap and JS. In this session, I am taking 3 Bootstrap components. One is carousel, second one is navigation, and third one is models. Please mute all of your mics. Okay. So the current topic is carousel. Do you know how the carousel component looks like and what is its use? If you look at my example here, this is a carousel example. I opened carousel example in Microsoft Visual Studio. Microsoft Visual Studio Code. Please mute all your mics, please. Please mute all your mics, please.
ప్లేస్మెంట్స్ లో ఉంటుంది చూడు.
Please mute all your mics, please.
సాటర్డే కూడా రాబోతుంది. అంటే సాటర్డే క్లాస్ వరకు ఇది కావాలి, బుక్ చేయాలి.
Please mute all your mics.
ప్లేస్మెంట్స్ లో ఉంటుంది చూడు.
బుక్ చేయాలి. ఈవెంట్ అక్కడ మీకు లివ్ది అక్కడే పెట్టండి. మీరు యాక్చువల్గా నేను
Please mute all your mics, please.
అది పెట్టద్దు. ఈ రోజు యాక్చువల్ గా పెట్టింది నేను. ఈ రోజు ఇది పెట్టద్దు. సార్ సరే ఈ టైంలో నేను చెప్పి సర్టిఫికేట్ కోసం పరిగెత్తాలని ఆలోచించు. అటువైపు బాగాలేదు కదా, మన కాకినాడ వైపు పెట్టాను. భద్రాచలం రెడ్డలు అక్కడ పెట్టున్నారు. గోదావరి బాగా ఇదో వద్దు నీ దాంట్లో నా అప్లికేషన్ అయిందాక వెళ్ళండి. బుకింగ్ అంతా
ఎంత రోల్ నంబర్
23.
దానికన్నా అదే బాగుంది.
ఫోటో కూడా వస్తుంది.
వద్దులే అదే బాగుంది, అది పంపించు.
ఇప్పుడు
ప్రెసెంట్ అది పంపించు, దాన్ని క్రాప్ చెయ్యి, హాఫ్ వర్క్ చెయ్యి. నిజాలు
Well, this is the carousel example. First of all, I'll show you how the carousel component in Bootstrap looks like. And after that, I'll explain you the carousel benefit and I'll explain you the entire code. If you look at the carousel example, it looks like this. Sliding images. If you want to place sliding images on your web page, you need to use carousel. Let us go to the explanation. Slideshows are very popular, especially in our web page, in the home page. We'll place slideshows regarding our company or our products. So, and can be used for news, e-commerce, video sharing sites, etc. This type of feature is also used to showcase the most popular items in the website in a well-organized and attractive slideshow. So if you want to create a carousel, first of all, what you need to do is, as you might all of you know, that in order to include Bootstrap in our project, and Bootstrap in our every XML file, if you want to include, we need to download 3 files. One is bootstrap.css, second one is bootstrap.js. For Bootstrap, 2 files are required, bootstrap.css and bootstrap.js, and one jQuery.js. So to run Bootstrap, jQuery is also mandatory. You must download all the 3 files, bootstrap.css, bootstrap.js, and jQuery.js files from internet. See, these Bootstrap and jQuery, these 2 files, JS files or CSS files, can be even downloaded from the internet and placed on your local directory. This is bootstrap.css, and here is the bootstrap.js, and here is the jQuery.js. So I place all the JS files and the CSS files as a offline files in our directory, offline files, instead of giving an online path. So give these files as an online path, what happens, each time when you load the HTML document, in order to download these CSS and JS files, each page loading will take a lot of time. Hence, what I do in order to make our execution faster, I'll always keep the JS files and CSS files in our local
societal responsibility
as a
responsibility.
Local files. As a local files. So after placing these 3 files,
responsibility.
And in order to use Bootstrap,
outreach activities,
what we need to do is
outreach activities ante
what we need to do, if you want to use Bootstrap in our web page, if you are using Bootstrap, we should not place any content in the body directory. That is what Bootstrap says. Bootstrap says always, if you want to design a web page using Bootstrap, don't place any content directly inside the body tag. So what you do is, under body tag, you open one div tag. Div, as you already know, div is a container tag. You can use div or paragraph or span or anything, but div is preferable because div is a block level element. Paragraph is also a block level element, but it is having a top and bottom, left, right margins by default. But if you use div, it is only a block level element. No margins exist above, below, left or right of the div tag. So whatever the CSS properties applied to this container class, those CSS properties will be applicable. So if you are applying a container as a class to div and place complete bootstrap content inside div class container. So how many containers can we use here? Container, fluid container, isn't it? So if I apply container, what happens? What by default can field the container gives us. What if I don't apply? If I want to change this container predefined CSS class, if I apply container CSS class, what happens if you ask me? Do one thing. So open bootstrap.css file. This is bootstrap.css file. Yeah, here it is, bootstrap.css file. If you go to bootstrap.css file, place cursor on the top and just click on Ctrl F. The find dialog box will be opened. We are looking for a class name called container, isn't it? Class is equal to container. Class is equal to container. Container is a predefined class. So container. See, if you apply container as a class name, by default, how much padding right and padding left will be left out to apply? 15 pixel and 15 pixel. What about the margin right and left? Margin right and left are auto. Padding left and right are 15 pixel. If you are interested to modify the padding or margin properties of the container class, you can directly come and modify bootstrap.css file here, because all these frameworks like Bootstrap, the next jQuery, all these frameworks are, they are open source frameworks. So they will directly give us the source code. We can modify as and when we are interested. That is what the open source is. So the source code is open, so we can modify whenever we want. Similarly, there is one more type of container exists, the name container fluid. So for the container fluid and container are the two things we are applying here. So if you apply container, its properties can be found in the bootstrap.css file. And next, if you want to apply a carousel, what you need to do is, as seen in the code, the main wrapper container for our carousel should have the class name called carousel and slide. And if at all, if you want to apply a carousel inside div class container, you open one div, forget about this ID for some time, div class is equal to, what are the two wrapper containers we need to give to apply a carousel? One is carousel and second one is slide. Carousel and slide. If you want to apply two classes at a time, two CSS classes at a time, so you can give it under a single class attribute. Class is equal to carousel, first class name, space, second class name, slide. Carousel, slide. So wrap container for our carousel should have a class carousel and slide. The next, the class slide is used to give the sliding effect to each slide of the slide in the carousel. The class slide is used to give a sliding effect to each slide in the carousel. For example, if you ask me, because I want to apply only carousel, I will apply carousel. What happens if I don't apply slide? Do one thing, just remove it. Okay, save the document and run the XML file again and try to slide. Actually, this is to give initial sliding effect. Initial sliding effect. initial sliding effect. If you keep the screen like this, actually carousel slide will do the same thing. The class slide is used to give a sliding effect to each slide of the carousel. It should have a custom attribute called, anyway, that I'll find out. Actually, slide, if you give, what happens the moment the carousel is loaded, the first slide will be appeared by default. So in order to navigate to the second, third, and fourth slides automatically with a time interval, if you give carousel slide, then automatically the sliding takes place, and the first slide will open. After some time, second slide, third slide, and so on. If you don't give slide, you need to manually navigate each slide. That is what. So the next one is, it should have one more custom attribute called data-write, which tells Bootstrap to start the sliding effect as soon as the page loads. Without this attribute, the slides will fail to change automatically until you have done so manually for the first time. So this is the one. If you remove it and reload the page and hold for some time, the page is loaded, but the slide will remain on the first slide only. The slide will not move to the second, third, and following fourth slides. No sliding effect will take place by default. If you apply data-write carousel, then as soon as the HTML document is loaded, after some time, the first slide will automatically move to second slide. Yeah, it is automatically moved to second slide. I didn't click any right or left arrow here, and the data-write will tell you the option. The data-write attribute will tell whether it automatically want to move from first slide to second slide, third slide, and so on automatically, or we want to manually do. Carousel slide, if you give, actually the sliding should not take place, only first slide should be displayed, but it is sliding, of course. It's okay, we'll see that later. So once that is completed, so the div class is equal to, you need to give two classes, carousel and slide. Two classes you need to give. Then the component will come. Then next, in that data-write is equal to carousel unity. If you give this, then only the moment HTML document is loaded, the first slide will appear. And then from second slide onwards, the sliding will automatically take place only if you give data-write option. So after completion of, without this attribute, the slides will fail to change automatically until we have done so manually for the first time. The next, in order to prepare a carousel, see the source code of the carousel. Carousel looks so, so complex. Here is a div class is called carousel. I didn't explain about div ID is equal to my carousel, that I'll explain you later on. Div class is called carousel. Under this here, you'll find a lot of complex content. Some unordered list is appearing here, some div is appearing here, and some two anchor tags are appearing here. This div, I guess, is to close the main carousel. This div. There is another div called container div. This is container div. This is carousel div. This is carousel div. So carousel div is having a lot of complex content that it contains. So it's difficult to understand what each part of the carousel subcontainers contain. So the carousel plugin has three subsections. One is indicators, second one is body, and third one is controls. Indicators, body, and then controls. Indicators, body, and controls. So indicators are like these circles, halo-filled circles. These halo-filled circles are indicators. These halo-filled circles are indicators. These are indicators. And second one is the body. Body is the portion where we place the image. And the last one is controls. Controls are these left icon and right icon. By using the mouse, you can navigate from left slide to right slide. Okay. So first of all, the indicators comes, and this portion comes. How to prepare the indicators? So for that, we need to write unordered list. See what I've explained inside. To create carousel indicator, and this indicator, create carousel indicator, you have to define an ordered list or non-ordered list. Ordered list or non-ordered list. See, normally in HTML, if you apply ordered list or non-ordered list, by default, some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or ABCD or circle, square, disk will come. But if you use unordered list or ordered list in Bootstrap, by default, their list style type will be made to none. The list style type will be by default made to none. If that type is not made, list style type is not made to none, then by default that circle, square, or disk will come for the unordered list, and for the ordered list 1, 2, 3 or ABC will come. So they will by default do this. If you are interested to see that. And one more important thing I would like to bring to all of your notice, that when to become perfection in the Bootstrap, you have to do all the examples. There is no other way. It will take a longer, like hardly 1-2 months. If you continuously Bootstrap, you will get exposure on the complete Bootstrap components. That's not an issue. But the best way of practicing Bootstrap is always while reading each class, like carousel class or slide class or this carousel indicators class. You always please navigate to the Bootstrap ones. Bootstrap ones, go here, carousel, press carousel, wherever carousel exists. Go and see its CSS properties, so that you will get a control over on the source code written on each component. If you want to disable any property, or if you want to add any additional property, you can apply it directly here, because it's a source code is open. Bootstrap.css file is open. And another this one is slide. What if you apply class as slide? What if you apply class as slide? If you apply class as slide, what happened? Slide it is not showing. Okay. And another one is we are looking for carousel inner. Yeah, carousel inner. Yeah, carousel hyphen inner. So what carousel inner will do is it will create a display column block. It will create display column block. Display column block to display column inline. Two things are. If you apply display column block, its content will occupy the entire row. Whereas if it is a display column inline, the next element will come in the same line of the component. So display column block max width is equal to 100%. Usually, if you apply display column block, it will take the maximum width. If you are interested, you can reduce it. Height is automatic. Height auto. So that is what this carousel inner actually contains. So the next carousel to create carousel indicator, you have to define a ordered list with the class called carousel indicators. Ordered list class with carousel indicators. Okay. The number of list items in it depends on the number of slides you want to have. Remember one thing, as many number of slides as you are putting in the body, carousel body, those many number of indicators you have to put. That rule you have to follow. Suppose if you place 5 slides here, and if you place only 4 indicators, only for the 5th one the indicator may not. So make sure the list of list items you are using here must be equal to the number of slides you are placing in the slide container, the carousel container, carousel body. So list item, the number of list items in it depends on the number of slides you want to have. Each list item should have a data target attribute. Each list item must have a data target attribute containing the ID of the carousel container. See, this is what I've explained. I didn't. Why didn't I explain about this ID? Because div we applied to the carousel as my carousel, because while applying list item to each list item, we must specify data target is equal to hash my carousel. Hash means wherever the ID is my carousel. So this all these list items data target is set as my carousel, whose ID is your carousel's ID, my carousel. So that is what each list item should have a data target attribute containing the ID of the carousel container ID that each data target must have, and it should also have a data slide to. data slide from 0 to 1 to 1 to 2 to 2 to 3, 3 to 4 like that. It should also have a data slide 2. Data slide 2. Data slide 2. Data slide 2 attribute containing a sequence number of particular slide it will point to. So here we mentioned data slide 2 is equal to 0, 1, 2, and 3. And to the first list item, we applied class is equal to active. Because we applied class is equal to active, the first slide was appeared and the first circle symbol was filled. So this is how carousel indicators start. So div id is called my carousel, class is called carousel slide, data right carousel. If you don't apply this from the initial slide onwards, the remaining slide, the sliding won't take place. The next, in order to get the circle or the images, we need to use carousel indicators. Carousel indicators are completed, unordered list tag is completed. After completion of unordered list tag, we will come to the actual heart of the carousel, that is carousel body. Carousel body. So how to write carousel body? Next, we build the heart of the carousel. Okay, heart of the carousel, the slides. First, we create a wrapper element for all the slides. Okay. So before placing all the images, they must be inside one more element. What that element is? The element is, see here, img, some image, Chania 2, flower 2. Like that, the 4 images we want to place. But we should not place all of them directly. We should place them under a div called, div class is called carousel inner. Under carousel inner only, we should place all the images. That is what. See, first of all, we need to create a wrapper element for all the slides. This will be a div class, the class carousel inner. Each slide is defined by a div element that has a class called item. So first of all, here we need to have a div class carousel inner. Under carousel inner, for each image, we need to have a div class called item. Div class called item. How many items? 1, 2, 3, 4. As many indicators, those many images. But each image must be placed under a div class is called item. Okay, this is div class is called carousel inner. And this is image, div class item. Because we applied active, that is the first image. If you don't apply active, default one will be taken. By default, first one will be taken. So div class is called carousel inner, div class is called item. Under item, we need to place image. Image src is equal to image name, alternative text. If the image is not available, this alternative text will be displayed. Width is equal to 460 and height is equal to 340. Same image height we mentioned for all the 4 images. And they don't change the image. So make sure all the image dimensions, similar image dimensions, dimension containing images, you please download and place them here. And then close each and every item. Div class item, this item div is closed. 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 Finally, we close the div carousel inner div is closed. Okay, here completes the carousel body. Carousel body is completed. This is all the 4 images we got. So the next, every item must have representing an image with optional textual data. The image will be used as a background for each particular slide. For each image, we can add related captions and some additional textual data also. If you want to apply that, what to do? These captions are wrapped by a div element that has a class called carousel caption. And probably under each this div class item, after image, we may probably need to open one more div tag with the class name is called carousel caption. There in the carousel caption, using some heading like 2, 3, 4, 5, we can place some text content. The caption can be inserted using any one of the HTML heading tags, H2, H1, H2, and so on. For related text, you can use paragraph tags also. The paragraphs, heading tags, anything we can use. But in order to place the text on top of the image, we need to, after image, we need to open one more div, and name that div as a carousel caption. With a heading or paragraph, you can place text. Repeat the same item markup for each slide. After you've done with creating all the slides, you build control section. Okay, we'll go to control section. But we want to see how to place the text also. I have one more example here. that shows the caption as well. See here under carousel inner, item, image, followed by image, I open one div, class is equal to carousel caption. Carousel caption. Div tag and by div tag are closed. Div tag and by div tag are closed. Div class is equal to carousel caption. This is what we said here. H3 Chania paragraph. The atmosphere in Chania has a touch of Florence and Venice. Some text was placed. So we'll try to run this example. Previous example is not having caption. Now this example is having a caption. This is placed inside a heading tag and this is placed inside a paragraph. Remember, both paragraph tag and heading tags are block level elements. Every heading tag is a block level element. Every paragraph tag is a heading block level. But they'll occupy the entire screen width. So this is how. Div class carousel caption, H3 Chania, paragraph atmosphere in Chania has a touch and Florence by div. And this is one div item. Similarly, you can write many div items. Next, the last part of the carousel body is completed. The last part is control. And the left and right, the navigation icons, the right icon and the left icon, those are called as controls. So how to use controls then? In order to use controls, let's complete this one. So in order to use controls, the carousel controls are constructed using a anchor tag. And for these anchor tags, we don't require any div again. But for this, there's a div class carousel inner. And for this, ordered list carousel indicators. Two parent elements we use. Ordered list div carousel inner. But for these anchors for controls, no parent element is required. We can directly use anchor. The carousel controls are constructed using anchor tags with a class carousel control. Okay, anchor class is called carousel control. Carousel control. Okay, carousel control. One of the direction classes such as left or right. There you can shift this carousel class and left here and there. But carousel control in order to have a control. And also you need to mention left and right. Left and right. Then followed by the href attribute of these links should contain the ID of the carousel wrapper. The ID of the carousel wrapper. What is the carousel wrapper? ID? My carousel. See, once the ID my carousel is applied here in this div tag, we didn't discuss this ID. But here the carousel indicators for every list item we mention carousel ID, my carousel, and as well as for every control also. For every control also we mentioned href is equal to my carousel. The href attribute of these links should contain the ID of the carousel wrapper. The next, once the controls are formed, we insert left and right symbols in them. These symbols are glyph icons. Actually, we are getting some right and left icons right here. Here we are getting this right and left icons right. These are called as glyph icons. So how to get these glyph icons? In order to get these glyph icons, we need to use span class is equal to glyph icon. Glyph icon chevron left and chevron right. Two images we used, and also with the two labels previous and next. Previous and next. This glyph icon chevron left and chevron right. These icons comes with the Bootstrap software itself. Glyph icons. Actually, you can type glyph icons. You can get glyph icons, left and right glyph icons. So we are having so many glyph icons. Bootstrap. These are the glyph icons. Bootstrap glyph icons. These glyph icons comes with the Bootstrap installation itself. But we need to know their glyph icon name. First of all, we need to mention span class is equal to glyph icon, followed by glyph icon chevron right or left. Where is glyph icon chevron left or right? Glyph icon chevron left, glyph icon chevron right. So you can also use plus sign, minus sign as well. If you're interested, you can change glyph icon minus left color. This we can apply minus hyphen this side here. Plus. And then the icons came here. Actually, instead they should come in the middle, but here they're coming. But somewhere. So we can use glyph icon play, not play. Step backward, step forward, step backward, step forward also we can use. Yeah, they came. Actually, they should come in the middle. I don't know why they are not coming. Anyway, press Ctrl Z. So in order to make no previous content now. So this is how the overall carousel is complete. Once again, I just would like to give a brief glance on the entire carousel. So div, give some ID, class is equal to carousel slider. Data rate carousel, if you don't give from the initial slide, the sliding won't take place. Then next, in order to get the circles over on the images, the carousel indicator we need to use. For that, unordered list, class is equal to carousel indicator. In that list item, the list item data target must be given same as the ID of the ID given to carousel. And then data slide 2 must be given from 0 onwards, 0, 1, 2, 3, as many slides as you have. The next indicators are complete. In order to place the images, we need to use carousel inner. The carousel inner, for each image we need to use div class item. In the div class item, you use image, place the image. And the next
cabin number కావాలి సార్ అండి రూమ్ నంబర్ రూమ్ నంబర్ ఎంత
please mute your mics. Please mute all your mics. And if you want to have some text over on each image, so what you do is use one more div class called carousel caption and place whatever captions you want to place. Carousel caption. Like that, you place as many items as you want in carousel end. The next, for the left and right, that navigations. So you write anchor left or right, for left for one and for one more anchor right. Carousel control. And the next, in the href also we must give the ID same as the ID given to the div carousel. The next, inside anchor, we must use span. Between anchor and by anchor, generally, if you place any text, the text will be placed inside the image, inside the anchor. But instead of giving the text, we are giving span class is equal to span is an inline element. And the hyperlink and this what you call span, both will come in a single line. Span class is equal to diff icon, cover on right or left. So as many diff icons as you are having, those many icons we can apply. So this is how carousel top ends. So these are the two examples. A different example. My example 84. For the reference sake. The next coming to navbar. The next coming to navbar example. Navbar starts from here. Navbar starts from 70 or 71 country. Okay. Coming to Navbar. Navbar is one of the most interesting Bootstrap components. Beginner developers, novice developers often find constructing navigation bars as one of the daunting aspects and a fearing aspect of the website development. And for the fresher, creating a navbar is a little bit confusing and difficult task. It brings many challenges such as ensuring proper alignment with the header as well as the rest of the body, proper aligning the links, the search bar, drop-down menus inside the navigation bar. And the under navigation bar will place various menus. To those menus also we can place drop-down menus inside navigation bar. And this job is a really tough job, hard job for the freshers. So Bootstrap makes creation of navbars easy. It comes with various options to build all types of. I'm having around I'm having around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 navbar examples. 7 navbar examples. Navbar example. This is one more navbar example. And this is navbar, simple navbar. This is navbar with image. The brand name. This is inverted bar, fixed navbar, bottom navbar, navbar drop down, the right element navbar, collapsible navbar. So altogether, we are having 7 examples, but we'll start with a simple example. Remaining examples you can refer later on. So in order to create a navbar example, once again what we need to do? Create a HTML document that contains bootstrap.css and JS and one jQuery.js file. Then followed by inside body. Don't write anything directly inside the body. What you need to do inside body, if you want to place content inside body, you need to write div class is equal to container. Under div class is equal to container, we need to place the actual content. But if at all, if you want to place a nav bar should be outside the container. Nav bar should not be aligned with the left margin, right margin, and bottom top margins, because it sits on the top of the page, followed by whatever you write that should be placed inside the div container. Hence, nav bar should not be placed inside div class is equal to container. Hence, what we use here, div class is equal to container is used here. That content is coming here. This is container content, and this is nav bar. Nav bar is outside div class content. In order to create a nav bar, you must use a HTML tag name called nav. You must use a HTML tag name called nav. First, we build a div element with the two classes, nav bar and nav bar default. Okay, we can use div, of course. We can use nav tag also, of course. But it should have two classes name called nav bar and nav bar default. Okay, nav bar and nav bar default. What additional it might contain is nav bar inverted or nav bar bottom, something like that. The additional options may be available. Actually, this what do you call, the HTML editor must also have an excellent code assistance option, so that we can change other options also for this nav bar. Nav bar default. Okay. Nav bar default, two classes. It should contain two classes, nav bar default. And the next, these classes are important to Bootstrap, as they identify where to apply the navigation bar styles and effects. Okay. Next, we'll use a div class called what? Container-fluid. Under nav class nav bar and nav bar default, you must use one div with a class name called container fluid inside the nav bar elements. This wraps all the contents of the nav bar and creates a full width container inside. Because we use container fluid, it is occupying the left extreme. Otherwise, you can change it to container as well. Probably it might leave some margin or padding space in the left and right of the nav bar also. If you're interested, you can use that. Otherwise, you can use container fluid so that it locks the entire screen width without leaving any margins on the left and right of the nav bar. So that's why container fluid. So under nav bar default, we must use div class container or container fluid. Okay. The next, it is, and now clearly I'm observing two things here. One is nav bar header and is nav bar menu, two things. So for the nav bar header, I think nav bar header we need to apply a class name. So after completion of that, now let's start inserting other elements inside the nav bar. First, we place div class with the class name nav bar header. Nav bar header. Inside nav bar header, this will be used for the website branding purposes, such as displaying the name of the website or logo. So if you are interested to place your company image over here, you can directly place IMG SRC is equal to your company image you give here. That image will appears here in the left hand side in the place of website name. Otherwise, if you want to give a plain text, you give some anchor class is equal to nav bar brand, href is equal to hash website name. So nav bar brand. I think in the nav bar header, nav bar brand is one more class we need to use. There we have to use the text. If at all, if you want to place image, we will also place a hidden button inside nav bar header element that will be visible only smaller screens when nav bar collapses. So this is not a collapsible nav bar. If it is a collapsible nav bar, as soon as you collapse a screen, as soon as you reduce a screen size, automatically here one rectangle box will come with a 3 or 4 horizontal lines. If you click over there, then this menu will appear. That's a collapsible nav bar. But since because this is not a collapsible navbar, if it is a collapsible navbar, we also place a hidden button inside the navbar header element. Okay, here in the navbar header element, we need to place one hidden button that will be visible only on a smaller screens when the navbar collapses. The hidden button will later use to expand and expand and collapse the menu instead of small screens. Not even small screens, even the desktop browser also. If you reduce the browser size, that will appear. The next is all related to if you place a hidden button for that. Here also no. Here also no. Here is. See, here you got menu, right hand side, some sign up and login. Also, we are having whenever you reduce the screen size, it's a collapsible menu key. And in order to prepare such collapsible navbars in the navbar header, and above the navbar brand, the navbar header, above the navbar header element, right? In the code, we have placed the button. It's a class navbar toggle. And if you want to have a collapsible button, the example number 76, navbar class is equal to navbar toggle, that is used by Bootstrap to activate the navbar's toggling behavior. Navbar toggling behavior means this behavior. If you reduce the screen size, this is toggling. In order to get this toggling behavior, we introduce navbar toggle. Button class is equal to navbar toggle. Input type is equal to button, class is equal to navbar toggle. Navbar toggle, that is used by Bootstrap to activate the navbar toggling behavior. It should have two custom data attributes, data toggle and data target. Okay. It should have two attributes called the custom data attributes. And why is calling custom data attributes? Because these attributes are not button type, button class. These are the standard attributes of the button in HTML. Those are the standard HTML attributes. But data toggle and data target are not the inbuilt attributes of the button tag. They are not given in the HTML tags. So they said these are the custom attributes. Custom attributes doesn't mean developer is writing these custom attributes. Bootstrap custom attributes. Bootstrap custom attributes in HTML tag. So navbar toggle. Okay, then only the toggle that behavior will become. It should have two custom attributes, custom data attributes. One is data toggle and another one is a data target. Data toggle and data target. Data toggle tells the script. Data toggle tells the script what to do when button is clicked. What to do when button is clicked. When button is clicked, collapse. Collapse means it is collapse and expand both. First one time if you click on it will collapse, and another time if you click on it will expand. Data toggle is equal to data toggle tells the script what to do when button is clicked. Usually will give collapse. Whereas data target tells which section to toggle when clicked. And when you are clicking on that collapsible menu, once you click here, if you don't give data toggle as collapse, no collapse will take place. If you click on this button, it will expand, but whatever content you want to appear here, where that will be written, in order to point that data target is equal to, here we have written my navbar. Where that my navbar is written? That my navbar is written here. collapse, neighbor collapse ID is equal to my neighbor. Oh, there the content is written. Okay. Okay. Whereas data toggle tells the section to toggle when clicked. So data target attribute is holding an ID of that section where it is not defined. While writing this tag, this data target was not written at. So it will be later on. You give some ID here. That ID should be assigned separately when we are writing div classes called to collapse and neighbor collapse. So that section will be toggled when the button is clicked. The span elements inside the button are used to display the icons. So here that is completed. This is hidden button. Hidden button and one more. Whenever you minimize the screen, whenever you minimize the browser, what to do? You know, one rectangle box with three some horizontal lines came, right? We got like this. So some three horizontal lines, the rectangle box we got. So how to get these horizontal lines is, so for that what we need to do? For that we need to write span class is equal to icon bar. Span class is equal to icon bar. Span class is equal to icon bar. The span element inside the buttons are used for displaying the icon. For that we need to use icon bar. So that is not mentioned in the PPT, but we need to use that. Icon bar. Probably in this
Sir,
span,
CSI
some custom
national level I guess, sir.
icons also.
Government can.
And then followed by in the navbar header, one collapsible button navbar toggle. Data toggle is called collapse, otherwise collapse won't take place. Data target is equal to, if you click on that menu, which menu should come, that should be displayed here, that ID. For the three horizontal bars, three span class icon bars are placed here. The next followed by anchor class navbar brand, href is equal to website name. So that comes in the left extreme. Here this comes in the website name. Website name that comes here. This is navbar brand. This is button. Good. That div is completed. Navbar header portion is completed. The next come to, we also have a defined. We have also defined an element with a class navbar brand that holds the name of our website. At this point, you should check what the code renders in your browser. You can place image or you can place text. Try resizing the browser window to a smaller size. You should see the navbar displaying the hidden button or smaller windows. Next, we'll create another div. 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 That will be the sibling of navbar header. Sibling and immediate, we are the sibling and child means parent and parent sub element are called as parent element and child element. Siblings are our brothers and our sisters. Same parent, two children are one sibling teacher. So the sibling to navbar header is. The next we'll create another div that will be the sibling of the navbar header. Attached to this navbar header, another sibling is. It runs the same level in the markup hierarchy. We'll give two classes to this element. One is collapse and another one is navbar collapse. Collapse and navbar collapse. ID is equal to my navbar. Here you give ID. That ID should be given to data target. That when you click on that collapsible menu, this one will come. ID is equal to my navbar. Collapse and navbar collapse. Okay. The next, at this, as this div will contain all the navbar content, we'll give the ID my navbar content to it. Okay, that's what we have given my navbar. The same ID is to be mentioned inside data toggle attribute also. Data target attribute also. Data target attribute, not data toggle. The same ID that is mentioned inside the data target attribute, not data toggle. Toggle means for the toggling. Data target means when you click on that rectangle box, that drop down that collapsible menu, that ID and this ID should match. The same ID should mention in the data target attribute of the hidden bucket. Okay. The next, now let's start filling up the navbar collapse elements. Navbar collapse elements with a set of links we want to place inside the navigation bar. So inside the navigation bar, we want to have
Okay.
so we are having the navigation bar content here. Whenever you collapse the screen, reduce the screen, they're coming here. Otherwise, the screen is expanded, the page is expanded, they are coming here. So how to display them? Now let's start filling the navbar collapse elements with the set of links we want to place inside the navigation bar. Now we'll use unordered list element with the two classes nav and navbar nav. Nav and navbar nav. Navbar navigation. Okay, navbar and navbar nav. These classes are used to align the links properly with the navigation bar. Okay. Unordered list class is called nav, navbar, nav. Then inside that we want to have 1, 2, 3 list items, and as many menus as we want, those many list items. List item. These classes are used. Okay. Here we place the list item class is called active. Anchor href is equal to home by anchor by list item. Similarly, one more list item, anchor href is equal to hash paste to paste. So that is how we got 3 home paste 1 paste to paste. But after home, for the page 2 and 3 are okay. Page 2 and 3 are. Page 1 we won't have again another drop down menu. So for that what we did, so we used list item. Class is equal to drop down. Drop down component is available separately here in the 67th example. Drop down component is given. Drop down component is given here. Drop down separate example is given there. So there you can check list item 1 list item class is called active, anchor is called hash home. Another list item, so paste 1 paste 2. So wherever we want one more drop down menu, list item class is equal to drop down. Anchor drop down toggle must be the class name, I believe. Anchor class is equal to drop down toggle. Data toggle is equal to drop down. href is equal to hash page 1. Span class is equal to character and by span anchor. Span class is equal to character. So here is the caret symbol, the drop down caret symbol. That is the caret symbol. Caret symbol. Unordered list class is equal to drop down menu. In that list item, anchor href is equal to page 1-1. This is a separate drop down we included. Separate characteristic. Remove this and run this. We'll get only home paste 1 paste. So this is how we are getting. Excellent. This is not compulsory. The sign up and login, 2 more things I have used. For that I used navbar right, and then I placed one sign up and login buttons. This one, sign up and login. So, but that is not mandatory. You start from simple example nabbar 70 and then go to 70_1 nabbar 70_1 71 inverted nabbar 60 nabbar 60 bottom nabbar nabbar with drop down right align nabbar collapsible nabbar. So these are 7 examples on nabbars. And the next topic to nabbar is models. So shall we take some 5 minutes break, small break, and we don't go anywhere. We'll just take 5 minutes break and we'll continue this model box also. Model box won't take much time. Meanwhile, I'll open and keep the example ready. So then we will immediately see that example. We'll take a short 5 minutes break and we'll continue the session. So don't leave the session until then. Okay. So, well, I'm audible to all of you. Well, now the last topic we would like to see in our session is model. So, if you're a standalone application developer, like if you use Visual Basic, the Power Builder, or Visual Basic, Power Builder, or Java Swings, Java AWT. If you're a developer of any standalone application development, you may experience two types of model dialog boxes. One is the model dialog box, and another one is modeless dialog box. Model dialog box is the one which will appear on the screen when I put one. If I put one button on the screen and click on, another pop-up box will be displayed. So another pop-up will be displayed. Some people will call it as pop-up and some people will call it as model. Some pop-up will be displayed. Until you close that pop-up box or model box, you may not be able to interact with the parent screen. That is called as modeless dialog box, modeless. Though model dialog box is opened on top of the parent container, so you're able to interact with the parent container, that is called as model dialog box. I'll show you the difference. Okay. But here is the example only on model dialog box, but not on modeless. Now let's run the example first. So here is one HTML page. Here I place one button, a simple button. Open model, same, one small button, normal button, normal button. If you click on the button, dialog box is appeared here. The model head with the model or with a pop-up header, body, and footer. If you click on the right side cross icon button, or if you click on a close button, the model dialog box is disappeared. So this is the parent and model dialog box is saved. So once if model box is opened, if you are still able to interact with the parent container, then it is called as model dialog box. If dialog box is opened, but until you close this model dialog box, if you cannot interact with the parent window, then it is called as modeless dialog box. But here example is only on model dialog box. I'll give you one best example. File open. So I opened a file dialog box, file open dialog box. File is having one file open dialog box and file save dialog box. Two dialog box are file open. This is model or modeless, you tell me. So on top of the parent container, not a Visual Studio Code parent container, one file dialog box is open. Is it model or modeless? So until you select one of the file and click on open or cancel button, you cannot interact with the parent window. You cannot interact with the parent window. So if you're trying to interact with the parent window, you'll get some, you will get some sound, a small drum kind of sound you will get. And until you close the screen, you cannot interact with the parent window. This is modeless dialog box. But ours is a model dialog box anyway. So in order to get this example, again in the XML document, it is common that you include Bootstrap CSS and JS files, offline files, and one jQuery.js file. In the body, your div class is equal to container. Div class is equal to container, and I just placed one small heading called model example under heading H2. Okay, H2 model example. The next, in order to place one button like this, button type is equal to button. There are various buttons available. In order to create a button, first of all, we need to apply a class name called btn. Btn means button. So after placing the button, buttons and labels are having various types. We will call them as contextual colors. on the buttons and labels. You go to first of all button. First of all, go to button. BTN is a class name. BTN hyphen. See, there are various buttons called button default. Button default. Button primary. Button default. Button primary. Button success. Button default. Button primary. Button success. Button default. This is button default. Whatever we have seen is button primary. This is button success. This is button success. Green color. Button primary is the one we got. Button warn. One. Success. Warning. 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 So some orange color will be displayed. Similarly, button error. Not button error, button. It's something. Button danger. Button danger. Button danger will be displayed in red color. Button warning will be displayed in orange color. Button success will be displayed in green color. Button primary will be displayed in blue color. Button info will be displayed in light blue color. So like this, these are the predefined colors written on buttons in Bootstrap. API. So we just need to mention, in order to get a button, first of all we need to type button type is equal to button, class is equal to BTN, that class name we should write first, then followed by button info, primary, success, warning, danger. And similarly here we need to mention one more button type called button group access and extra small. You can give small SM. SM means small. Medium. It's not changing. Large, for large LG. It's not changing.
It's available.
Extra small. So button group extra small. And here data toggle model. You must mention data toggle model. Data target is equal to, whenever we click on the button, then in a single screen we can place multiple buttons. In a single screen we can place multiple buttons. One button for registration, one button for displaying login screen, one button for something else. We can place different buttons. For each button click we can display different model dialogs. So how to perform that, how to open different model dialog boxes for each and every button. So for that, what we need to do? So while writing the button itself, in the data target we should mention model 1, model 2, model like this. For each model you prepare a separate div class model like this with ID model 1, 2, 3. For each button, whichever button is clicked, that corresponding model will be opened. So that primary thing you have to remember. Okay, model is a small one. The next is one of the best plugin to use display dialog boxes, prompt selects and config boxes. every model should have a container class with model. Then we are directly talking about this, but we already spoken about this button already. Button with primary button, a small button. Data toggle model must be displayed. Data toggle model means one time if you click on, the model dialog box will open. One time if you click on, the model dialog box will close, because it's a model dialog box. Data target is equal to, you give some hash, some ID of the model box. That name will be given here. In order to prepare a model, what we need to do? First of all, we need to write dev class is equal to model. Give a fading effect to the model. We need to add a class fade as well for the same container. Some fade in, fade out, fade in out, or some predefined classes are there. You can even check them in the bootstrap.css. Fade is one class. Dot fade, dot in, and inside fade class, inside class we can use one more class name called in. If you write like this, dot fade dot in means wherever class name is fade. The next, in continuation with that, you can use one more class name called in, and this in can be used, this in class can be used only along with fade, but not as a separate one. Whereas if you write dot fade space dot in, wherever fade class exists, in that the child element must be in class. The dot fade comma dot in and raste separate classes, whichever class is fade, whichever class is in, two different classes will be treated. Dot fade comma dot fade space dot in it, wherever dot fade exists, in that the child element must be dot. But this is the indication of dot in, dot fade dot in means wherever we apply class fade, in that only we can apply this in. This in class we cannot apply separate. So for the fade, we applied opacity 0. Opacity value is always from 0 to 1, isn't it? Opacity, transition, how much time it will take, opacity, 0.15 second, linear. Actually, you can see this transition effect in the CSS examples, so CSS3 examples. CSS examples. So that fade effect will come. Model, fade, in. The next we define a div element that has a class model dialog. So inside the div class model, fade in, give some ID. The next, in the div, you write one more div class called model dialog. Inside model dialog, this is responsible for controlling the size of the model dialog. Probably in the model dialog itself. Here, see here, model dialog. And it's clearly see. This model dialog is also responsible for controlling the size of the model. How, if you directly give model dialog, default model dialog box size will be displayed. If you want different sizes, in the model dialog, you give space and model hyphen small, model hyphen LG, and a large model hyphen. See this model with size small, the next small, medium, the next large means LG means large dialog box, and the next XS means extra small dialog box. XS is not working. Okay, it took up to SM, small dialog box. So this is how this example is. So model dialog, it is displaying this much. Okay, and this is the default size, I believe. The next, by default, it is resized as per size of this. Shortly, we'll see how to change the size of the model dialogs. Inside the model dialog box, we create a wrapper element that wraps various subsections of the model. Okay, inside a model dialog, we will have subsections. How to write them? So the wrapper element should have a class called model content. Okay, model, fade in or out. The next div class model dialog. In the model dialog, there we need to mention it's whether it want to be a small, medium, large, or extra small. That we should mention here. The next model content. Because this model content is common for a small, medium, large model dialog box. So that should limit separately. Model content, model content. The subsection model are having header, body, and footer. Okay. And the header and footer are optional, and body is mandatory. To create a model header, you need a div element with class model header. Model header. Inside it, you can put a model title and a model dismiss icon. Model title. So whatever title you want in the model dialog box, that will be written here. And if you want a dismiss icon, what you need to do? The model title is given as with h4 element with a model title. So model header like that, the message will come. Model header like that. Model header. That is header. Okay. That's fine. The next, in order to get the cross mark, the dismiss icon here is a multiplication symbol. Multiplication symbol is nothing but a cross section. That is a cross symbol is nothing but for a close symbol. The dismiss icon here is a multiplication symbol that is wrapped around a button element. Okay. So here we are written button type is equal to button, class is equal to close, class is equal to close. If you don't write close, it won't close when you click on it. Data dismiss is equal to model. And this ampersand times. So this ampersand times means ampersand times always displays a multiplication sign. A multiplication sign, nothing but a cross mark like this. Cross mark like this. So I placed in between button and by button tag. And the button should also have a class close. The button also should have a class called close. The button also should have a class called close, so that it is aligned to the top left corner of the model header. Top left corner is what I will say. Adding a data dismiss attribute. Adding a data dismiss attribute enables the button to close when the model was clicked. So if you click on that crossbar, the model will be dismissed. So this contains inside model header. This is not part of model body. And if you want cross button to close the model dialog box, you need model header with model title and button with a class name close, data dismissal as model, and these are called as HTML entities. Ampersand NBSP semicolon, ampersand GT semicolon, ampersand LT semicolon, ampersand AMP semicolon, ampersand what you call trademark TM semicolon, trade semicolon. These are called as HTML predefined entities. You can type HTML entities in the browser. You will get so many number of HTML entities. Ampersand times will display the crossbar. Fine, that's fine. For the body, you just write div class is equal to model body and place some text in. That is all. For the body, we need a div class with class model body. You can put almost a content inside element. You can use Bootstrap grid system to organize the content properly inside. You can write an entire Bootstrap grid content here. And a div class is equal to container, div class is equal to row. The next div class is equal to column hyphen medium hyphen how many columns you want to. Like that. Completely the Bootstrap grid layout can be used inside this model, and it can be treated like one more container. So for creating the model footer, we need to define a div element that has a class name called model footer. Okay, model footer. The content inside a model footers are right aligned by default. Okay, that is good. The content inside a footer always by default aligned to right. Very good. Then header content should be aligned to left. And if the body content is aligned to right by default. Okay. Good. This is good. And retain by default. In this code, I've used button component to trigger the model. It's a button for the button. The button class is called btn button default, and it should have a data trigger attribute. Data trigger attribute to tell Bootstrap which model to triggers as. And this is regarding this explanation is regarding this button. In this course, I have used the button component to trigger the model. So this is body footer portion is completed. Just put a button, data dismiss model. Whenever you click on that, model dialog box will be closed. Now explanation is on this. For the body, we need to div with the class model body. You can put almost any content inside. Okay, sorry. In this code, I've used the button component to trigger the model. This is explained below. It should have a data trigger attribute, data target attribute to tell the Bootstrap which model to trigger as in when there are multiple models in a website. And whenever you click on the button, whichever model dialog box you want to open, to each and every model dialog box, you give an ID, my model 1, model 2. And for this button, you give data target is equal to the model 1 or model 2. We also need a data toggle attribute defined to determine what to trigger when clicked. Normally, model only. Generally, these are collapse model, something like data toggle is equal to model. Now we are all set in our model. We just go ahead and see the example. That's how this example came. And here is one more couple of examples I'm having in order to display small model. And you can see here model small, model medium, model large, like for large LG, for medium MD, for small SM, for extra small XS, like that we have used. For large LG, this is a large model. The entire application is same.
My dashes lo
And only inside, this model dialog, we are mentioning the size of the model. That's all. So model is at 86. So that's all about the model dialog box. Here ends the session on our carousel, navbar, and model dialog boxes in Bootstrap. So hope all of you understood these examples, and I'll end up the session right. Session.